I am predominantly known on social media for a lot of my online sketches, comedy sketches, improvisation sketches, and I guess that's kind of how Nowhere Close came into fruition, or certainly started out as an idea. So one character in particular that I focused on, her name was Tracee, and her sort of tagline a good 2 or 3 years ago was, "Tracee, your favourite foul-mouthed northern bird." And I started kind of making this Tracee character who was very vulgar, very nosy, a sort of a nosy neighbour, a curtain twitcher, and sort of told things like they were. She was highly opinionated, and she had no problems in stating her opinion quite openly. So that was Tracee. That's kind of how she was born, and I got quite a lot of good response back about her. So I started thinking about her and sort of a backstory, if you will. Where did Tracee come from? Where did she live? How did she think and feel? How did she dress? What was she like, behind closed doors? Now, I'm not actually a writer. I'm fundamentally an actor. So writing was a whole new thing for me to have to learn and get to grips with. And although I was collaborating as a writer, it was really difficult, and it still is. It's a whole other skill, to get to grips with. And I very quickly found that my fault as a writer was that I was too wordy. So everything was so verbose, everything was so described overly, and that doesn't work. Things have to be more visual than wordy, and I really struggled with that, and I struggled to see things cinematically, visually, how you get a feeling or emotion across without having to state it. I really struggled with that. So that was a really long process, and the script itself was written, rewritten so many times. But I think, as someone wise once said, a writer, said writing is rewriting. And my God, I never realised how true that was until I'd started this venture. So that rewriting as well was going up until, the 11th hour. Because things change as well when you're on set, and characters and all the rest of it. So making Nowhere Close happen was an incredibly difficult, challenging, surreal experience. So much harder than I'd ever anticipated. But I think that's the thing. If you realise from the onset, from the beginning, how hard things are going to be, I think you'll rarely follow through with them. It's all about just taking the next step and not kind of looking too far ahead. And that's what I had to do. I knew that this was a massive undertaking. Admittedly, I didn't realise how massive, but I knew it was going to be big. And the journey still hasn't finished. But as I say, if I'd realised how challenging it was going to be, I never would have started it in the first place. I would have said, do you know what, this is way too much hard work, this is out of my remit, this is, just something that I can't do on my own, certainly not without a big team behind me. And I quickly came to realise that getting a team behind you is also another incredibly hard and challenging thing to actually do. I think what all people have to realise, performers, musicians, entertainers, that nobody really is going to care about your work as much as you do, apart from maybe your grandparents, your parents, etc., or close friends. The public out there are not going to care about your passion and your work as much as you do. So that means that you, on your own, kind of have to fight for it and push it and get it in front of people. So yeah, incredibly taxing, incredibly challenging, and difficult in every which way, mentally and financially. It stretched me in ways that I never could have envisaged. But that's not to say that I ever regret starting this journey. Absolutely not. It's just so much harder. But the beauty of it is that when it goes on to doing other work or even further episodes of Nowhere Close, I will certainly have more experience and better knowledge of what I've got to do beforehand. I think, just on a side note, I think it's easy to sort of take for granted the amount of work that actually goes into a project like this. I know for myself this has opened my eyes tenfold. If I see something on the television, a comedy sketch, you never ever think about the amount of work that's got into that. Right from the very beginnings of having an idea and writing a script to, casting that and, getting it filmed, getting money for that, getting it edited, graded, coloured, sound, and then going on to the process of actually trying to get this commissioned and getting it in front of people. It's a horrendously long journey that you never give credit for when watching anything on television, how that project actually came into fruition. And this has certainly opened my eyes to that whole process and given me, I guess, a newfound respect for people that create their own work. Initially and naively, I thought, well, £500 or so behind me. Worst case scenario, I can film it on my iPhone. I'll get a few friends together and Bob's your uncle. What's the issue? And I say this was a very naive attitude, and I soon came to realise that notion couldn't be further from the truth, and that things do not work like that in any respect. To say it's been an eye-opener would be a total understatement. It's been absolutely crazy. Wonderful, but crazy. So for Nowhere Close, I was the creator, the co-writer and co-director, and I soon came to realise you also needed something called a producer. I did not know really how to find a producer or go about finding. I was so new to this, and after sort of a few people sort of letting me down, saying they would do it and they didn't, I thought I'm going to sort of take this fully on myself, and I decided to be the producer, never having produced anything in my life before, not at all knowing the role of a producer. I thought that the role of a producer, solely was to bring in finances and find money for a given project. I didn't realise it was so much more than that, from finding locations to organising cast, finding crew, providing the catering. The list was endless for things like that. So that, I think, being the producer for Nowhere Close was the most stressful aspect. There was never any let up. It was a 24/7 job, and for a good 6 months. And being a single parent on top of that, who also homeschools, it was an unbelievable amount of work to take on, and there were many times which I thought I was close to having a breakdown. I just couldn't cope with the amount of work, but I also knew that I wasn't in a position to stop because the ball had gotten rolling on it, and I couldn't just ease up. There was no one to take my place as producer, so I had to carry on. But it was incredibly hard, and there were so many times I thought, I can't do this anymore. I can't cope anymore with this amount of work. Maybe I should just jack the whole thing in and, call it a day and say, I tried, but, I failed at this. Thank goodness that I didn't. But I think it's important for people to know that you will have moments like this all the way through creating your own work. Or maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe the idea is wrong. People won't find this funny. I can't manage all of this. This is too much hard work. What have I done? It will go on, but it's so important that you persevere and push through if you have faith and real belief in the project. So I'm so glad that I did continue to do that. I was extremely lucky to be able to have on board two fantastic cast members. That's Kelly Hollis, who is better known for Channel 4's Shameless, and also for Emmerdale more recently, and Clink on Channel 5. She's a fantastic lady. She's so very kind, so very giving, and without a lot of her support, I don't know if a lot of it would have gone as smoothly as it did on the day. She was playing the part of Michelle in Nowhere Close, and she also helped to co-direct the piece as well. And on top of that, we also had the fantastic Mickey Jones. Now, many people won't know Mickey Jones by name, but he is one of the leading UK soap directors. So he will have had a hand in Emmerdale, Coronation Street, EastEnders, Hollyoaks, etc. And he agreed to come on board and came on as one of the lead characters of Father Colin. And we couldn't have cast Father Colin better. Mickey Jones was just perfect for it, absolutely perfect. So yes, absolute honour to have those two on board. And Mickey Jones as well also helped co-directed as well, which again was just amazing, having a UK soap director helping to direct your very first creative endeavour, your pilot episode. So absolutely fantastic to have those two on board. Very, very honoured. There were 3 blocks of filming for Nowhere Close. 2 of those took place in Manchester, and the last and final one took place in Blackpool. The 3rd block, filming in Blackpool, was especially challenging and difficult, and was a little touch and go in places. I was feeling quite unwell mentally. My mother was very unwell and in and out of hospital with heart troubles, and finances were at an all-time low. I couldn't get any further finances or raise any further finances, and I was having to sell pieces of my furniture, my sofa, my computer, my keyboard, filming equipment, all to try and raise those last bits of money, whether it be for catering, for hotels for people to stay at if they were travelling far, or whatever else it was, or for locations. So it was a really incredibly difficult time, especially towards the end, so much going on, and I still don't have a sofa. But we got the project finished, and that is now in post-production, meaning that it's now in the stages of being edited, coloured, graded, having CGI and visual effects, music, etc. That process in and of itself is a very lengthy one, and it involves going backwards and forwards with rough drafts, seeing if we're on the right lines, etc., and finding the right pieces of music. So yes, that is a lengthy process in and of itself. But yes, I'm just so incredibly proud that whatever life seemed to throw at me at the time, I got through it, and there were so many challenges, so many issues, people not turning up. You know, it was just, there were so many things. So I'm so incredibly proud of myself, but more importantly of everybody else. We had a cast and crew combined all over the period of the 3 filming dates of maybe 70 to 80 people. 70 to 80 people for a project, you know, where nobody was paid and where everybody just had faith, such faith and belief in Nowhere Close and what it could become, and also in me. And I can't express the gratitude that you feel knowing that people are giving up their time and travelling really long distances just so that you can kind of see your dream through and get a project off the ground. And even now I think about that and I think, wow, how did I achieve that? Why did so many people believe in me? You know, it's really humbling and touching. And as I say, I have such gratitude for all of those people. I really do. Because without those, Nowhere Close would not have been anything that it is. And from the small bits that I have seen from the edits, again, you know, it's a learning curve and it is a pilot. There are parts in there where I think, oh, that line shouldn't have been in. Oh, this needs cutting. This is too long, too wordy again. You know, I see many mistakes, but I see its potential. And there are some beautiful, funny, witty, you know, nuanced moments in there, which get me excited and get me excited about Nowhere Close's future. Really. So yeah, incredibly proud of not only myself, and I don't often say that, if ever, but as I say, so proud of every single person behind the camera and in front of it who gave their time to this project. It's quite overwhelming when I think about it all, really. At the risk of sounding cliched, I do know, however, this proves to me, and I hope it inspires and proves to other people who are involved in it, honestly, whatever it is you want to do, no matter how massive it is, you know, there are ways that you can achieve it. The trick is to only go step by step, and many people want to look 10 or 20 steps up and get frightened by that image, but you have to go baby step by baby step. You know, it doesn't mean that you don't have an image of what's out there in the future or where things are going to be, but you just have to focus on what is the next step, and then what is the next step. And I think great things can really happen from following that very simple process. I know that from experience. This whole project in and of itself shouldn't really have happened on paper. There was next to no money supporting it, and I wanted it to look as professional as it could in terms of television quality. And that's what we have achieved. So, you know, nil impossible est, as the Latin would say. Or I could just say it in English, nothing is impossible. But that really is true. I very much plan to have Nowhere Close premiered this year to a very select few people, because obviously it can't be out in the public or shown on social media, because we're looking to get this project commissioned, in other words, to get it on television and in front of production companies. So that means that we can't show it willy-nilly to all and sundry. However, we will be premiering it this year at a venue that is to be confirmed depending on lockdown rules and all the rest of it. I will be giving away some tickets, probably 10 free tickets, to members of the public who would like to come and see it. You must be following my Facebook page for that, the Nowhere Close Facebook page. If you just type in Nowhere Close on Facebook, that will come up. So you need to be following that page to be in with a chance to win some tickets to come and see that premiere. It won't be shown anywhere else until it gets commissioned for television, and we don't know how long that process takes. So if you really would like to see it in its early stages as a pilot, then yes, you need to be following the Nowhere Close page on Facebook to be in with a chance to win those tickets. But yes, it will be premiered this year with a date and a venue to be confirmed, and then after which it will then be taken behind the scenes again and shortened down to maybe 10 or 15 minutes or segmented. And then I guess that's the whole process, as I say, of getting it in front of production companies and people who have money and influence to try and get this on mainstream television. But right now, as I say, baby steps. We're focusing on getting it out of edit, getting that finished, and then getting a premiere sorted for this year. I don't have a set way of working. My process is usually just sitting in my room with a pen and paper and just writing ideas down and seeing what comes of it, or improvising. I really don't have set ways of working. I just listen to the instinctual creative part of myself, and if it wants to be freed, then I do something with it. And if not, then I don't. Very simple, a pen, paper, and a camera, or my phone. That's it. As long as I've got those three things, I can create anything. I can get the ideas down. I think the biggest one, the one that will stay with me probably for a very, very long time, was Ian McKellen. He watched me in the theatre one time, and afterwards in the green room approached me and said that I was very watchable and it was a superb performance, and gave me a hug. Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen. So yes, that's got to be the most memorable response. If Ian thinks that I'm all right, then I'm all right with myself. So many different influences, but for so many different reasons. You know, Marilyn Monroe, Victoria Wood, Julie Walters, Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, Buddha, the Dalai Lama, Osho, Ricky Gervais. Wow. Just Ricky Gervais inspires me to do so much, just to speak from my heart when writing. And, you know, he taught me there's no rules in comedy. Just do what the hell you want. And so that's what I kind of aim to do. But yes, I've got so many different influences. I take small bits from people that I admire and then try to maybe sort of reverse engineer that and put it into my own work and life. My dream job would probably be working for the RSC, the Royal Shakespeare Company, and maybe the role of Lady Macbeth, something along that vein. Or alternatively, a dream project would be having my own comedy show, something akin to Catherine Tate, where I can create all my own characters and have those reoccurring each week. That would certainly be a dream for sure. I've been given so many, I've probably forgotten most of it, but I think I'll just have to revert back for now to what I said earlier. Nobody cares about your work or your passion as much as you do. And I think for where I am right now, that's such an important lesson to learn and to accept. Because when you realise that, you will stop leaning on other people. You will stop expecting things from other people. When you're in a position of expecting things from other people, your work will not grow, and you will constantly be dependent on other rather than self. So you can't move as fast, and you don't learn the skills required to make things happen. Being dependent on other people will always hold you back. So if you are dependent on them or expecting things from them, you need to stop doing that now, and you need to start taking charge of your project yourself, and knowing that you are the only one who cares about it, really, and you are the only one who can make it progress and get it to where you want to. No one else will do that work for you. No one else will do that work for you. You know, they'll work alongside you, but no one will get it to where you want it to be, or push it for you, or get as excited about it as you. So yeah, really, I think it's really important to understand that and accept it as soon as possible, that no one cares about it as much as you. And then you'll work tenfold on getting that project out there, because you know there's only you to fall back on. Really, really important. Oh gosh, so many, right from, whilst at university, working in a chip shop, working in an ice cream van. I've worked as a negotiator at an estate agent's, as a trainee hairdresser, as a French teacher in a primary school. I've worked as a ballet teacher, a tap teacher. Many, many, many different jobs I've had, for sure. Oh, cake. Book, Twitter. I'm going to have to say funniest, because I don't think you can be really funny without being intelligent. Oh, fulfill your biggest wish. I don't recall the name of it, by the Beatles. I think John Lennon sang it. I'm so tired, I haven't slept a wink. I'm so tired, my mind is on the brink. Or blink. That one. I haven't missed anything really during lockdown. In fact, I've preferred it, and I think people have been more creative and closer to their infinite selves, actually, creating, having fun, dancing, singing, putting content out there. And I don't know, somehow it kind of has brought people closer together. And I think that the outside world has benefited for not having us horrid human beings, a lot of us, out there, putting rubbish out there and fumes and all of the other things that we do to destroy our wonderful earth. I think it's benefited. So yeah, I've preferred lockdown. Contentious, maybe, but yeah, I've bloody loved it.